However, the second generation Avensis with the T25 index is a different car. New platform, different engines. Has anything changed in terms of reliability? And is it worth buying a used Avensis from 2003 to 2008? Avensis bodies do not rust, except that a white coating can crawl out from under the black coating of the door frames, the appearance of which is provoked by reagents on the roads and the chemical composition for contactless washing. Moreover, if the stains appeared within the warranty period of 3 years, and there is no external damage to the coating, they will be removed free of charge. The suspension coats well with bumps and has an enviable energy intensity. The cabin is quiet. By the way, cars after restyling, since July 2006, are even quieter. Soundproofing materials have changed, door seals have been modernized. True, driving Avensis is frankly boring, an empty steering wheel, tasteless gear shifting, cornering habits far from sophistication. And most importantly, nothing changes with age. Is that the interior is getting old. Avensis fabric seats in simple configurations literally suck in all the dust, losing their neatness in a couple of years. Sometimes there are crickets in the front panel, especially if it was taken apart by craftsmen, for example, to set an alarm. But servicemen confirmed that the quality of the English assembly of Avensis is at its best. Yes, Avensis is an exclusively European model. Even cars for Japan were produced at the plant in Derbyshire, England, where they were delivered until 2004. The vast majority of our Avensis are sedans. There are few station wagons, and hatchbacks, if they can be found on the market, are second-hand from Europe. By the way, the European market appreciated Avensis. The car was often in the top lines of sales ratings in its class. People loved Toyota's reliability. Although the second Avensis still had an Achilles heel, increased consumption of engine oil. The line of engines with the ZZ code in 1998 replaced the legendary unpretentious engines, united under the letter A. The most problematic was the 1.8-liter 1ZZ FE unit with a power of 129 horsepower, like on an editorial machine. The reason is not a good design. Due to insufficient lubrication and minimum clearance with the piston groove, the oil scraper rings lose their mobility and oil consumption for waste increases many times, up to 1 liter per 100 kilometers. Since 2002, piston rings for these engines have been nitride and chrome-plated for greater wear resistance, but the problem has not disappeared. As a rule, oil thirst sets in at a range of 40 to 60,000 kilometers. Repairs were often not limited to replacing stuck or worn piston rings. It came to replacing the entire cylinder block due to severe wear on the liners. After all, the aluminum block of any of the motors of the ZZ series is officially non-reparable. The manufacturer does not provide repair dimensions for the piston group. Under warranty, the blocks were changed for free, but post-warranty replacement will cost at least 180 to 220,000 rubles. By the way, you can determine whether the block has changed by the engine number. Numberless units are supplied for spare parts. A more budgetary, no more than 80 to 100,000 rubles, but also a more troublesome option is the re-sleeve of a worn-out block to face value, which is offered by specialized firms. The problem was only solved in April 2005, when 8 drainage holes were made in the piston groove for the oil scraper ring to drain oil. Along the way, the rings themselves and the technology for processing the cylinder block have changed. Upgraded engines, they have an increased volume of the oil pan, usually do not cause trouble, and you can distinguish them by the green mark on the dipstick. ZZ engines also have one more problematic place. Sometimes a slight overheating is enough for the thread in the cylinder block for the head mounting bolts to float, and the joint between the head and the block loses its tightness. This is usually seen by smudges on the rear wall of the cylinder block in the direction of travel. Officially, such a motor is also beyond repair, but you can do without replacing an expensive numbered unit by repairing the threads from private traders. Otherwise, the 1.8 engine is not bad, not voracious. 10 to 11 liters of AI, 95 gasoline per 100 kilometers in the city and 6 to 7 liters on the highway at a speed of 120 to 130 kilometers/h. Traction. Smooth thrust is the merit of the variable valve timing system VVTi. It works flawlessly. However, the WTI control valve is located dangerously close to the blockhead bolt. Craftsmen sometimes break it during disassembly. But the optimal engine for the second generation Avensis is a 2-liter 1AZ FSE with 147 horsepower, with direct injection D4, and also with variable valve timing VVTi. The dynamics are better, and gasoline consumption is no higher than that of cars with a 1.8 engine. True, the direct fuel equipment is sensitive to the quality of gasoline. Sometimes one dirty gas station is enough to sentence the high-pressure fuel pump and injectors to replacement. If you refuel only at proven gas stations, troubles can be avoided. The injection pump runs at least 150 to 170,000 kilometers, and the 1AZ FSE engine has practically no other problems. With the 2AZ FSE engine with a volume of 2.4 liters and a power of 163 horsepower, Avensis was sold in the richest luxe configuration: leather trim, electric front seats, xenon headlights, and a 5-speed automatic. Other versions have 4-speed automatic boxes. From a technical point of view, the engine differs from the 2-liter mash only in the presence of balance shafts. In Europe, a 1,600 cubic centimeters 3ZZ FE engine with 110 horsepower was also offered, and a 2-liter turbo diesel without an intercooler, 116 horsepower. The base 1,600 cubic centimeters unit does not turn the Avensis into a slow-moving vehicle. Passport acceleration to hundreds in 11.3 seconds and a top speed of 195 km/h are proof of this. However, problems with excessive oil consumption on production machines until 2005 also concerned him. How Corolla 1.6 suffered from this ailment. Cars with a 1CD FTV diesel engine, as well as its more powerful successors with a capacity of 150 horsepower and 177 horsepower, which appeared in 2005, were not officially delivered to Russia. Provided that high-quality fuel is used, they do not cause trouble. But if something happens, the high-pressure fuel pump alone will cost 75,000 rubles. Automata, Eisen are reliable. 5-speed mechanics, too, but the shift cables begin to jam over time, making it difficult to move the lever, worsening the already unimportant clarity of the drive. Do not forget to change the gear oil only once every 40,000 kilometers, both in the mechanics and in the automatic ATF Type 4. The main problem of the chassis is the knock of the steering shaft on cars with a 1.8 engine and electric power steering. A knock is heard when driving on uneven surfaces due to the backlash of the spline joints. It does not threaten anything other than acoustic troubles. But even replacing the shaft with a new one, 8,000 rubles, does not promise to get rid of the knock. So it's better to change it on warranty cars, but on Avensis older than 3 years you will have to put up with this. Power steering mechanisms on all other cars do not present such problems. On many pre-styling cars, the rear suspension rumbles due to the unsuccessful design of the silent blocks of the rear levers. They change in the collection, but already remade ones are installed, of the 2006 model. The rest of the suspension parts are quite reliable. Shock absorbers and front levers often go 100 or more thousand kilometers. Surprisingly, shock absorbers often do not lose their characteristics, do not flow, but have play. You can determine it by shaking the stem. Even bushings and stabilizer struts are able to stretch 60,000 kilometers. They cost 300 and 2,500 rubles, respectively. Brake discs usually have to be changed every second pad change. The front brake calipers can sometimes rattle on bumps. Dealers suggest filling the guides with grease to solve the problem. When diagnosing, be sure to pay attention to the air conditioning compressor. It does not belong to frankly weak points, but it often dies even before the end of the warranty. We didn't have time to change it at the expense of the factory. Get ready for serious expenses. On the second Avensis, you can only replace the compressor entirely, and this is 67,000 rubles. In addition, Avensis has not escaped the chronic disease of most Japanese cars in Russia, the current plastic radiator tanks suffering from road chemicals. If the problem was not resolved under warranty, the replacement of the radiator will cost 16,500 rubles. Are there too many shortcomings? We assure you, the list for any European classmate Avensis will be longer. So the title, Reliability Number 2, speaks for itself. Yes, the previous generation was more reliable. Yes, motors with a working volume of 1.8 liters can consume oil, and the steering can tap. But there are also spots in the sun. And if you choose Avensis with 2.0-liter or 2.4-liter engines in the secondary market, then there should not be any special problems with it. The best option in terms of price-quality ratio, in our opinion, is Avensis with the 2-liter engine in Terra or Soul configurations. For the purchase of Avensis, he also says that with age, the car loses relatively little in price, and liquidity is in order. there will be no problems with subsequent resale.